Thank you for tuning into our podcast. We are coming to you from South Hadley, Massachusetts. I am your host, Carrie, and joining me is Holyoke's very own local historian and creator of the historical tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Cohen. He offers both public and private tours, as well as presentations of the local canal systems, reservoirs, cemeteries, and churches, as well as various parks and streets in Holyoke, South Hadley, and Chicopee, Mass. Now, you actually lead these tours and give these presentations yourself, is that correct?
That's right, and this is part of the Olmsted Landscape Tour.
And so today we'll be talking about the George Prentiss house from 1399 Northampton Street. So what did George Prentiss landscape look like?
Well, part of it is still there, but it was quite gorgeous. It had a curving driveway up to the house, and it kept curving behind the house back to the carriage house. And then it had lots of gorgeous trees that planted around, front and back, and nice bushes. You can see a picture of its design on my webpage if you go to the Olmsted page. And there you can see a plan, and that's good because if you actually go out there anymore, you won't see anything except a carriage house. So you will see a better landscape around that old carriage house. So today we're going to talk about what the George Prentiss landscape was like, and the house was like, and then what he did. He was a mill owner, and then what happened to the house itself and the carriage house. So the landscape design is quite gorgeous. It had two pieces to it. One came in from the left and one from the right. The one from the left came in right towards the house, and it had nice bushes and trees towards it, and it curved all the way towards the back where you went into a garden in the back. And then there's a right-hand piece that came in towards the carriage house and passed like an elm tree, a tulip garden, a rose garden, a magnolia tree, so forth. But you can see all the plants on the landscape design itself. So I encourage you to go to my Olmsted page and try to find that design. Now, George Prentiss liked beautiful houses like this, and his son did too. And his son ended up taking it over after his father had died. And then his son lived 100 years old. And this landscape itself was designed around the year 1915. The house was already there. And it was actually put in, it was quite obvious put in because the carriage house still has that Olmsted design around it.
And what did the George Prentiss house look like?
Okay, the house itself was quite a gorgeous house. You can see a picture there on the internet. Just type in Prentiss House Holyoke, and you can see a gorgeous, large Victorian home that was put in there. It was on the top of Fairfield Avenue. Fairfield Avenue is a local historic district in Holyoke, and this was crowning piece of Fairfield Avenue. It was on the other side of Northampton Street, but as you looked up towards the west of Fairfield Avenue, you see this gorgeous Prentiss house, and it's gorgeous landscape around it. One of the better ones of the Olmsteds in Holyoke, and you see the gorgeous carriage house along with it. Sadly, it was taken out.
And quickly before we continue with the rest of our interview, just to fill our listeners in, if you want to find out more information or sign up for any of his various tours, you can check out his website at holyokecanaltour.org. And if you want to sign up for any private tours, you can email him directly at bobcat4214, capital B, @yahoo.com. And they are perfect for fun and educational outdoor activities for the whole family, or for your group parties, especially those special occasions or get-togethers. And they are also good just for getting outdoors for the day. So getting back to our interview, what mill did the Prentiss family run?
All right, they started up and ran the Prentiss wire mill. The father, George, started up, and William took over later for him. The mill was in the same city block as the Lyman Mill. It was right in front of the Whiting Paper Mill number 2. It was itself two mills, one downstream of the canal system, so it could take advantage of the power from that canal. This is the first wire mill in Holyoke. It's a very, very old mill. There is a mill number two, was a mill number two, and still is. It was built upstream of the canal power, so it came later than the other one. And it was built, both of them were built to make wire. And they were one of the best wire makers in the country. Made lots of spooled wires, but they also made wire that would be made, for instance, in pianos. So sure, copper wire for houses, but also wires that could be made into, for instance, Golden Gate Bridge kind of wire. Right? The company was started up in 1857. I have pictures of it on the internet. It stayed open for 104 years. It didn't close until 1961, and then it was raised 63. But its mill number two stayed around a long time, and they made lots of cool things, including the spiral springs that you find inside of a clock, right? They made different kinds of wires that you'd find plated wires for different uses. And for instance, another thing they made was the wire that you find in artificial flowers, that wire going down, acting as a stem. They made that too.
And what happened to this Prentiss home?
Okay, the Prentiss home, unfortunately, in 1954, a designer of a new neighborhood around a Carol Ann Lane decided to take down the house and build a new street, a new neighborhood right over it. So Fairfield Avenue doesn't end with a house at its top. It ends with Carol Ann Drive across Northampton Street. And so one of the most gorgeous houses in the history of Holyoke is gone. But he only took out the house. He left a landscape and a carriage house there. The road goes over a lot of the landscape. You can see pieces of that landscape on both sides of the road. So if you look towards the Johnson house, which is towards the left, you'll see pieces of the landscape from the Prentiss landscape. But more importantly, towards the right back, two houses in, you'll see the carriage house, and you'll see pieces of the original landscape around that Prentiss carriage house. It's a very unique look to the bushes, trees, so forth. And it still has the curved driveway going in. So you can still see pieces of it there miraculously. Sadly, that house should have been moved, but it was taken down. And that's sad because also mill number one was taken down, which is the important wire mill. So two of the most important pieces are gone. And mill number two is the only thing left of the Prentiss dynasty in Holyoke.
And thank you, Robert, for educating us on your tours. And we want to thank our listeners again for tuning in. And you can tune into a large selection of our other podcasts and much more at his website. Again, that is holyokecanaltour.org. And again, you can email him directly to set up private tours or to inquire about anything else at bobcat4214, capital B, at yahoo.com.